name's Ethan Willard, and I'm here at a brand new shredder installation at PNW Recycling with PNW's Vice President, Sean Daoud.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Now, what you're looking at behind us is a brand new WENDT 106 heavy shredder, outfitted with a 6,000 horsepower scroll cage motor and VFD, and one of the most state-of-the-art downstreams that you're gonna see in the industry. Now, as we walk into the plant, one of the first things that stands out to me is that you can't actually see the shredder.
Nope.
Why did you choose to put this type of building around the shredder?
Yeah. So part of what we have to deal with here in the state of Washington with regulations is how to manage air emissions, right? So shredder itself produces a level of air emissions that required the ILG building to be put in place. So we made the purchase of the ILG building so that we could efficiently capture the emissions that are generated when we're shredding the product that we handle. And on top of that, the ILG enclosure that we have here also reduces noise level. So when you're walking around the plant, you barely can hear the shredder running. And unlike other shredders that you hear it all the time, when you bring that noise down, you're able to have a more friendly environment, not only for your employees, but for your neighbors around.
That's great. I mean, when you look at the plant, it doesn't look like a normal shredder yard. That ILG building really helps to enclose that shredder and make it look more like it's a factory environment than it is a normal shredder yard. So why don't we take a look inside?
Yeah.
Here we are inside the ILG enclosure, and behind me you can see our 106 shredder. Mm-hmm. What made you choose this size shredder above all the others?
Because it was the most cost-effective machine for us to be able to reduce our cost per unit compared to our Portland shredder, but also to be able to grow into it, right? So at this point in time, we're not at capacity for what we currently have, but we have room for growth. And so we have that choice. Not that we want to make it, but if we choose to, this machine allows us to do that.
And what are these hoods that we see over top of the shredder here?
So the two hoods that you see, there's one above the infeed chute, and then there's one above here that the UMO discharge. These are where the emissions that are generated from the shredder are being captured. And then they combine into the main tube at the top there that you see, and that then goes into the emissions control systems.
Okay. Well, why don't we take a walk around and we'll take a look at the emission control system.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, so as we're walking out here, you can see there's a pretty massive amount of equipment and clearly a massive investment in the emission system that we see out here. You had mentioned a little bit about it inside the building. Can you tell me a little bit more about it, how it works?
Yeah, so once the emissions are sucked up via the two hoods inside the building, right, they combine into a single tube and they travel through this entire process. So the boxes here are drop boxes. So anything that's heavy in particulate matter, so anything weighs quite a bit that can't sustain flow with the air pressure, drops down into these boxes and we handle them appropriately. After that, the rest of the emissions that are captured travel to a PM filter that was provided by APC, and we filter out anything above 2.5 microns, which is very fine filtration. So that allows us to manage the airflow going into the RTO to make sure that we don't have any heavier particular items that make the RTO work harder or could possibly damage it. So once the emissions make it after all the piping into the RTO, we're using a pretty high temperature range. It's basically like a giant oven that's burning off the VOCs, which are volatile organics. And then after the volatile organics have been destroyed, all of the acid gases that are created from the process go into our wet acid gas scrubber. And we're using a caustic water mixture to capture those acid gases in order to make sure that they don't make them into the atmosphere. And then once that goes through the scrubbing unit, then the vapors from all that process, which is mainly steam, go through the stack, and we have clean air coming out the stack. That's pretty amazing. So not only are you recycling metals and turning them into new metals, but you're doing it in a way that is clean and healthy for the environment. 100%. All right, so we talked a little bit about the shredder, we talked a little bit about the emission control systems, and now here we are in the ferrous downstream, the part that separates the shred from the non-ferrous metals. Yep. Can you tell me a little bit about this piece of equipment we're standing next to here? This is a neat design. With shredding, right, when you have any type of long piece that can make it through out of the mill, whether you open up the reject door or if it fits through the grate, any type of poker, right, could cause a belt to rip. It could cause a belt to actually get jammed, right? You could put it near a mag drum and it could stop it from working. So this invention here, and it's a proven piece of equipment that allows us to catch any of those poker, right, type items that are long bars, 16 inches or longer, and put it onto this belt and eject it out of the system. When it exits the system, it doesn't become a downtime item for us. And downtime with these shredders are revenue killers, and we want to avoid as much revenue loss as possible. That's the whole point of running a shredder, is to produce as much money as you can every single hour.
Yeah, and one of the other things I really like about this machine is it also gives you the ability to remove unshreddables.
Correct.
So whenever you get a reject or event, the unshreddable comes out of the machine, it comes up the #1 conveyor, and this conveyor actually moves and allows you to catch the unshreddable, eject it out of the system, and within just a couple of minutes, you're back up in operation.
Yeah, and it takes away from any type of physical harm that might happen to an employee.
Right. So after the poker picker, which is really meant to just reduce downtime, improve the efficiency of the downstream, we go further into the downstream with a dual mag stand, a Z-box, and some ballistic separators. Let's go take a walk. So we've made it through the whole system. The last bit of the system that I noticed is a little bit different than what you see elsewhere are these ballistic separators up here on the platform. Can you tell me what those are and what they do for you?
Yeah, so the shred ones are designed to create a low copper shred. The magnetic head roll that's at the end of the belts will have any type of high ferritic material stick to it. That should already be a low copper, high quality shred that we will send straight to our shred pile. Anything that ballistically flies off is something that would have a high contaminant, copper, aluminum, whatever it might be, stuck to the product, and that is then sent to a picking line. Prior to the picking line, we put it through a polishing drum, so whatever sticks to that drum will then be introduced to the pickers and allows them to have a more controlled, lower flow material to be able to have a high quality control process by limiting the tons that they see. Once the pickers are able to remove the materials that we do not want in the steel, the shred, it is then reintroduced to the product that was stuck to the head rolls of the shred ones, and then off to the stacker to go into the finished shred product, or pile, excuse me, making a low copper shred.
All right, so we've reached the end of our tour. It's clearly evident how much of investment you guys have put in here, how passionate you are about the industry and the equipment and the environmental side of this. And it's really admirable to see you guys put in a plant like this with such a focus on the cleanliness of not only the product, but the cleanliness of the operation. My last question for you is what made you choose WENDT over some of the others in the industry?
That's a good question. So as you know, right, we've done a lot of projects with WENDT over the span of about 10 years now. We've put in a wire chopping system with you guys. We've done a non-ferrous downstream plant, and now obviously this WENDT 106 system. You know, working with you, Ethan, is a wonderful experience, along with the team members that come behind you. You know, I think one of the biggest reasons why we choose WENDT is because of how well you stand behind the product, right? We've had a couple of times that we've had to clear some decent hurdles, and every time we clear them with no bad taste in our mouth after the fact, right? Because you stand behind what you make, what you show. You know, the products that this system produces, the products that our other systems produce are amazing and high quality products. The connections that you have with ILG, with Erie's, with APC, with CPI, you know, any Steiner, with any of the other equipment manufacturers that you have to bring in to integrate into your process, you have strong relationships with them, and you command a good service level from when they're trying to support the project. The way you communicated with the contracting firm that we hired, J.H. Kelly, for this process was at a high level. Anytime they had questions, you responded. Any concerns we ever had, you responded with them. But that's happened during every project that we've ever done with you. So the number one reason we pick WENDT is because of how well you stand behind the product. But then there's a bunch of other ancillary benefits behind it, which make it even more worth it doing business with you guys.
Well, thank you, Sean, very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks.